Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome to your instant race reaction for the 2019 British Grand Prix. Myself, Callum and Tom, and what a British Grand Prix that was. One of the best ones I've seen in a long while. I mean, last year's was pretty damn great anyway, to be fair, but this one had so many battles. The opening 20 laps was just insane. We need more of that in Formula 1. Inject that all into my veins. Guys, just so much fighting, and like Tom just said before we started recording, it was all at the front, which was great to see.
I know, it makes a massive change, and it was a shame that it was a massive battle between Red Bull and Ferrari throughout the whole thing, to the point where it did overflow with obviously the contact between Verstappen and Vettel, but even still, like the battling between them, if we had Mercedes involved as well, and we did have a little bit of a battle at the front with the Mercedes regarding pit stops and strategy, even then, absolutely amazing, and I'm so glad that Silverstone is staying on the calendar for the next 5 years, because more of that, please.
Yeah, that was good news to have going into this weekend, and it delivered. You know, I was kind of thinking, okay, we had our one good race in Austria, and now it's time for another 10 bad ones. But no, it actually, I think it was better than Austria, personally. Austria was very much, it was just overtaken on the straights, but this was like good battling through the corners, you know, the moves into turn 3. And then just also, I find it really intriguing, you know, like looking at the cars, how the Red Bull could really grip up behind the Ferrari, even in dirty air through Maggots, Beckett's, and just have so much more downfalls, and how Ferrari was struggling in that race, you know, trying to keep the Red Bulls behind. And then, of course, out front as well, a great brief but good scrap between Bottas and Hamilton, and surprisingly, Bottas actually resent one back up the inside at Copse and actually stayed in front. And to be fair, he'd done a perfect race up until the safety car, which we'll get into in a minute. But yeah, crazy race. Literally, it had it all.
Yeah, it was really great to see the two Mercs fighting, and you know, some people were saying, finally a little glimpse of that kind of Mercedes fight we used to have with Rosberg and Hamilton. You know, Bottas, we criticised him quite a lot for not defending that much at Austria. That time he really did, and got the lead back and was controlling it. And yeah, it was very unfortunate. These things do happen in racing sometimes. Safety car can come out and just, change things up. And unfortunately, it was one of those things where he had already pit. Hamilton got a free pit stop. Vettel also jumped people up into P3 with that safety car. So that was just a kind of potluck scenario, basically, with Gio going off in the gravel there. But yeah, like you said, Tom, the fighting with the other guys was actually going on in the corners. You know, Red Bull v Ferrari, the amount of times seen then Ferrari and Red Bull side by side was great. After the safety car, the action with Leclerc and Gasly, where they made some contact on the front left into the last chicane, went off circuit a little bit. That was so frosty, but also like so epic to see. Like, you could just tell. We mentioned this before. I think Cal was very much adamant of that kind of realization, like, shit, like this is going to be it, isn't it, in the future? This is going to be our future world champions, hopefully, fighting. And that was another moment. It's like, holy crap, like this is going to be it now for a few years, hopefully.
The future of Formula 1 in the next 10 years is firmly in good hands with those two. Like, that was some incredible battling. And also as well, Leclerc with some of the moves, that move he pulled off on Gasly around the outside at turn 3.
Great.
I was walking on my phone. I literally had to stop. I was stopped in the middle of the pavement and just stared, and like I'd lost for words. That was incredible. And bearing in mind as well, the battle still carried on going down to the next straight. And fair play to Gasly, he's had a brilliant weekend compared to the rest of his season, and we saw a bit of racecraft from him as well. But oh my God, like the future of Formula 1 is it's in good hands. Even though we've got a Hamilton and a Bottas that are dominating out in front at the moment, if Ferrari and Red Bull can get themselves back to the pinnacle at every single track, as we predicted going into Silverstone, Mercedes will be the best car. But if they can catch up, oh my God, we've got a battle on our hands, to say the least.
Very, very tasty. But let's get on to one of the biggest talking points of the race, of course. I think Tom mentioned it briefly about Verstappen, but having that little bit of damage and still being fine was, well, the Vettel v Verstappen incident, which, officially speaking, the FIA said it was Vettel's fault. The Sky was having a bit of a bigger debate about it being a racing incident, with Anthony Davidson chiming in as well, as per usual, having a bigger debate than maybe needed to be about it all, basically. And I think the phrase was like, someone said, what was Vettel doing? And then Crofty just went on the commentary. He tried to brake and got it wrong, just like the most simple sentence ever.
Yeah.
But yeah, Vettel again, under pressure. It looks like he was under pressure again, basically flustered in another, pressurized battle moment, and has another mistake. I mean, where does it end with him having these mistakes?
It's dangerous.
Yeah, it was bad. He had a bad weekend as well. Qualifying was
was dreadful.
Really poor. It's so weird. Like this season, when he has a bad weekend, it's a really bad weekend. it just gets worse and worse and worse kind of thing. Because, like I said before, it's weird because when you see such a bad weekend from him, it's weird when you see that he's ahead in the championship ahead of Leclerc and he's out-qualified him as well. Like, it's kind of weird in a way because you see these weekends and you're like, who the hell? Like, what's he doing? And that was a weird one again. You know, I said on Twitter, it's probably 90-10 Vettel. Verstappen did move a bit in the brake zone. It was kind of pretty much identical.
Much though, did he?
No, I'd say it was pretty similar to like Baku with Ricciardo in 2017 where he moved a bit. But that gap was never really there, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But again, I said in the last podcast, but it's just funny because whenever Verstappen's involved, it can't be a clean situation. There's always something that happens whenever Verstappen's involved, whether it's him getting taken out, him taking someone out, or just a racing incident or contact. There's always something. And but yeah, Vettel this time to blame. To be fair, I think he's very lucky to get over 10 seconds because I think, logically speaking, he was going to finish last, give or take. So you'd think a penalty for the next race would be more of a fair punishment. I think it also, at the same time, to kind of balance it up, the fact that Verstappen kept on going somehow,
that was mental.
Kept on going, I think that makes the penalty less harsh because if he'd taken Verstappen out of the race, then you should get a harsh penalty. Somehow he kept on going and actually had okay pace, which I can't believe because that car took off. So
it went over the sausage curb, which is very solid.
And somehow Vettel, just by hitting him in the rear, got far worse damage. It's so weird how that one worked out. But
if you compare it to Baku, like both cars, I fully thought both cars would be out just like in Baku. Like both those Red Bulls were KO'd, like massive amounts of floor damage, and I think also like obviously in the incident, I think Ricciardo stalled his car in that incident, and both drivers ended up in a gravel trap in this instance. And both of them managed to get out of it, which is quite surprising to say that Giovinazzi pretty much sunk his car. I don't actually know how he managed that.
I think
it was a rookie error and he floored it. I think he was just trying to floor it to try and get out of the gravel trap. But very, very shocking that there was barely any damage. And then people, like, you do wonder how Hamilton got such bad damage on the curbs in Austria. Like, you do wonder because it was quite a big impact on Verstappen's car. Like, how does this happen? But even still, I think I've seen the odd tweet where people complain about Verstappen's moving under braking. Okay, fair enough, he might have moved a little bit, but there was no way Vettel was going up the inside there. There was no chance, gap in the slightest. And it was quite funny. You do bring up the idea that whenever Verstappen's involved in something, there's usually some sort of incident. And then earlier on in the Grand Prix, he was actually complaining about being squeezed and moving around along the straight, sending him to braking, which was quite shocking and surprising to say it's Verstappen. But yeah, it was. I don't know what's going on with Vettel at the moment. Like, and people are jumping on the high horse of trying to defend him. But literally, I remember in commentary, Crofty was like, "Oh, 4-time world champion, very level-headed." Really? Are we actually still calling him level-headed when, with the amount of incidents that he's been having in the last year? Like, it's pretty much his year anniversary since he put it in the wall. It's he's not fixed these problems.
It's I feel like
weird.
I feel like, you know, you have this with sportsmen sometimes, and you have it a lot in football with footballers having periods where they just go off a little bit and they just have to get back mentally. You know, their head goes. I honestly think Vettel's kind of going through that. If he doesn't want to, you know, whether he wants to admit it or not, I think he is having that kind of yips, as they call it, of like, you know, he just can't get everything cleanly together anymore. And I don't know whether he needs to go see a sports psychologist, coach, or whatever. You know, the footballers did that way. You know, I remember like Wayne Rooney went abroad to a psychologist and training ground. You had like, you know, Torres with that off period. You know, these things do happen, and so I feel like maybe he's not actually accepting that there is something there, because there clearly is, because he was so dominant, so in control of everything. He used to be the man who was always, level-headed in that Red Bull car and controlled races, and he was at the start of Ferrari because he was the level-headed person they needed at Ferrari when he first came to the team.
That's how they got back to the front of the grid.
Yeah,
was Vettel.
And then, he was the one that helped them back to the front of the grid. There's no denying that. Ferrari, I think, would have been in a bit of a worse position if Vettel was not there, actually, in my opinion. But now it's just falling away. It's like tapestry just falling off ever since that kind of crash from Germany, like you mentioned, the year anniversary in a way. Nearly it was. So very, very old stuff. But yeah, I don't. Red Bull make that car out of titanium, indestructible. I don't know what.
It's quite fitting. They were sponsored by 007.
Yeah,
in many
it was.
ways.
Yeah, did they make it out of some like
Pretty
space age material that only MI6 have?
Triple armor plating or something like that.
Just to quickly chime in on the conversation before we move on, it's interesting because I think there's two ways of looking at this. I think a lot of people will push the narrative, and ultimately people look for the storyline and narrative, and I think push certain agendas. I genuinely believe Vettel's form has nothing to do with the fact that Leclerc's his teammate, because people want to push the thing like, oh, Leclerc's got him.
No, I don't
and stuff
believe
like that.
it either.
It's literally like he's the same as last year when Raikkonen was his teammate, so nothing's changed. I just think at times you can still see he's a really quick driver. Like, on the other hand, I think had he won at Canada, would it be the same? You know, would it be different? Would he have like changed the way he driven? You know, did that race hurt him again? Like put him back down to ground zero again? You know, it's I agree. You know, the whole psychological aspect of it. You know, when we see like with you mentioned Torres. Morata personally, as Chelsea fans, springs to mind. There are those sports personalities that just have weaker mentalities. You know, for example, you could say Hamilton was much weaker when he started, but he's really grown and he's mentally so strong now. It's kind of the opposite. He's getting stronger as age gets on, whereas Vettel's
I did think like, it's literally like the inverse of Hamilton. And I mean, if we very quickly speak about Hamilton this weekend, because we can't not.
Yeah.
666. That's just 6 British Grand Prix victories. That breaks the record. Fastest lap on the last lap. And he did get a stroke of good luck, and it's rare, to be fair, because we see a lot of teams leave their drivers out to try and catch a safety car. And when it doesn't work, you look like you've got egg on your face. But when it does, it makes you look like you're the boss of F1. Yeah. And it did look like that. And, I mean, Bottas got equally unlucky as well, because obviously Mercedes went medium. Very strange that Mercedes did manage that, because then they surely would have known that puts him at risk of being messed over by a safety car. But even still, I mean, that was... Like the second half of that Grand Prix, Hamilton was untouchable. Obviously, once Bottas managed to pit, but I don't know. This season, I feel like everyone's just sitting up and realizing the achievement that Hamilton is getting now. Like he's rarely pushing up there with some of the achievements he's getting.
No, he's with the new records he's breaking, where it's kind of like something like this where. It's a big deal, because especially for British fans to see him break that record, especially after last year where it almost looked likely he's going to do it again, and then he didn't get it last year, so he had to wait a whole year to actually break this record this time round. And then the way he's just driving, on those old hard tyres, just chilling out, and then last lap, banzai lap, pops it in, fast lap the Grand Prix, full 26 points. And I mean, apart from obviously a little bit of luck, but he was still mega in that race, actually fighting Bottas, and would have been cool maybe to hypothetically seen what the fight would have been like without the whole switcheroo.
I'd have loved to have seen that.
But still, it was a very, very, very solid driving. It wasn't a complete whitewash, maybe that a lot of us thought it would be, but it's still one of those classic Hamilton drives at Silverstone where it just comes through and he does the business, basically. But I mean, we talked a lot about the top guys. I think now we should move on a little bit down the order. Carlos Sainz P6, best of the rest, with Ricciardo P7, Raikkonen P8, Kvyat P9, and Hulkenberg P10. Unlucky for Norris not to get to the points, P11, because he had a fantastic first stint in the race, overtaking Ricciardo, great side by side in Cops it was, and Magnus Beckett as well.
Oh, that was quality. Yeah. That was fantastic.
Lovely. And then unfortunately, same thing as Bottas, basically.
Yeah, exactly. He got dumped out by the safety car. As well, I want to mention Gasly as well. Fair play to him. His best weekend in the Red Bull so far, without a doubt. And I think since he started using Verstappen setup this weekend, it seems to have paid dividends, and he's got much better pace. So a shout out to him. Sainz as well, a good race. He actually benefits from the safety car, so they timed it right, McLaren with him, and he gained big time. And then Ricciardo as well, he got done dirty by the safety car, but he fought back up to P7. So some good scraps there. And that McLaren Renault battle is becoming quite the last few races.
Yeah, very tasty.
McLaren, and you're kind of seeing the top three teams, and then I'm starting to sense a bit of a Formula 1.75. I don't know what to call it. Like in between, you feel like McLaren and Renault are starting to break away a little bit from the midfield, because they've got more potential to kind of keep going.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Like, even Renault said that they're now kind of they're solely looking at McLaren for their comparison, basically, same engine, and now they can clearly see that McLaren are actually better than them consistently, so they're the team they're aiming for, so you do see that little split. And then all the way down the field, there was a little bit of bad luck here and there in terms of the strategy and whatnot. But in the end, pretty solid top 10 in terms of, I think our predictions were I think we all said Renault were going to do pretty okay at Silverstone. I think.
Yeah, we said
McLaren, as well as like one Alpha and one McLaren at least getting best of the rest.
You can see now it's a McLaren, a Renault, an Alpha, and a Toro Rosso. It's usually one of those 4 teams that are picking up the points. You're not really seeing many racing points these days. You're not seeing a Williams obviously up there, and you're not seeing the Haas. They're dropping through the field.
I want to end it off on that. Let's talk about Haas. Oh my God.
What a weekend.
Double retirement.
Off the back of all the Rich Energy
double
stuff.
Retirement, but yeah, something we have not talked about in the podcast, but all the stuff with Rich Energy, oh my God. We'll have to go into it more in the podcast, but it's been absolutely laughable. Like the tweet today with the milk truck.
Yep. Is this actually a real company? Like,
part of me wants to think now. At first, I was like, "What are they doing?" But now, part of me is thinking, "Okay, I think this might be a troll account."
It's not, but Haas followed them. Unless the social media guy Haas has been duped and finessed.
I don't trust this deal anyway, so whoever works at Haas signed the deal with this company in the first place, they're obviously dumb enough to believe it, so I'm sure there's someone dumb enough to follow them on social media.
It's all kinds of ways. We'll go into it in depth, though, because I don't want to go too long for this instant race reactions. Maybe a bit short and sweet, so we'll leave it there, guys. We'll do a bit more in-depth look into the fraud that is Rich Energy on like Tuesday, Wednesday, later this week here, and obviously go into more detail of every other battle and obviously the aftermath. I'm sure there'll be plenty of analysis from pundits to give us a bit more, maybe different views on how everything went down there, but if you did enjoy this instant race reaction, be sure to hit that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're new around here, subscribe to this channel for more of the reaction and the podcast, of course. And check out all 3 of us. Our Twitters were on screen the entire time. But this has been the reaction to the British Grand Prix. Let us know what you guys thought in the comments below. We'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.